Hello there. I was asked a very good question the other day by a chap in Dubai. I'm consulting for him. He's building a troop carrier, and he asked me the question: why did you choose Victron in your DC-DC and solar charging system over Redarc with your latest build? I should add here that both Redarc and Victron donate products for my personal builds. They both do it. Neither of them tell me what to say. There are no conditions with regard to them donating the products. They want me to talk about their products, and for that they get this kind of video. Right, let's talk about the Redarc DC-DC chargers to start with. They are first class, very, very good product. What's great about them is the simplicity of wiring them, particularly if you're wiring them with the Egon DC hub. It makes life so unbelievably easy. Inbuilt into them is an MPPT, which is the most efficient type of solar charge controller. It's built into it, and it's one of those cables. So you just plug it in and ta-da, off it goes. A little bit of advice. They make a number of products. This is a 50. They make a 40 and they make a 25. They're all good. Best value for money out of all of those, without question, is the 40. When I have, and I've used this very one in a vehicle that I had, the best current I could get out of it was 47 amps. On my 40 equivalent Redarc 40 amp charger, I could frequently get as much as 42 amps. So the real life difference is 5 amps. You're spending quite a lot of money extra for just 5 amps. I don't think it's great value. That 5 amps, I don't think makes a big difference. Maybe for your setup it will make a big difference. For mine it didn't. So best value for money one is in my book is the 40 amp. They must be in a location where they are well cooled. As the temperature increases through the actual charging current that flows through them, they get quite hot. You've got to mount them in a place where they stay cool. It's vital if these things are going to become efficient. If you put them underneath the engine bay, and these things are very well sealed, you can reasonably safely put them under the engine bay. It's not the best place for them because they will get, of course, hot from the heat of the engine as well, particularly if you locate them in a bad place near the exhaust pipe or the turbocharger. And they will decrease in efficiency the hotter they get. So put them somewhere near the battery, in the back, if you can. And now Victron. I'm holding the MPPT solar charge controller. It's a separate unit, it's not combined. So with Victron, what I fitted in my troop carrier now are two 30 amp DC-DC chargers and one 100 amp MPPT charger. But this is the 20 amp. This is a smaller one. This has a 20 amp solar charge capacity. So they have various products in their catalog. They are more complicated to wire up than the Redarc. They're not difficult to wire up, they're just a little bit more complicated. Anybody can do it. It's not like you need to get a specialist to wire it. You don't, but it is more complicated. One of the reasons why it's more complicated is because they're not together, they're separated, but easy to get around. The other really nice part about the Victron products is the Serbo GX. The Serbo GX is a monitor window where I can control and monitor my entire system, including water level in tanks and many other things. With the Redarc you don't get that. But if you choose the Redarc, then I suggest you use this other Victron product, which is basically it's a monitor. So you can, with this very simple device, using a shunt across the battery, your auxiliary battery, how are your batteries doing? What percentage are they? You must remember that if you've got lithium batteries, you can't just look at the voltage. The voltage is not going to tell you how much current is left in the battery. Like the old days with the AGM batteries, you could say, oh, it's at 12.1 volts. Okay, 12.1 volts and with no load is a pretty flat battery. And if it's down to 11.6 and the fridge is running, you've got a fairly flat battery. You cannot do that with lithium. Because the lithium that's a great thing about lithium batteries. They stay at a constant voltage until they're 99%, and that last 1%, if that, they say, okay, I've had it, and the voltage plummets instantly. So you need to know the percentage. And you need something like this, either the Serbo GX or something like this, to tell you how your batteries are doing. Because voltage alone will not tell you that. And these things are inexpensive, very easy to wire up, and really effective. So, to me, the combination is, you get those two, okay, fantastic combination, very easy to wire up, okay? Or you get this combination with the DC-DC chargers, the Serbo GX, more advanced, more complicated, but can do more as well. One more thing. If you consider your solar charging to be critical, in other words, you want to get the absolute maximum you possibly can out of your solar panels, whether they be on the roof of the car, whether they be solar blankets or multiple solar blankets, then the Victron system is better. And it's because it can handle a higher voltage. Now, I have this cable. I made this up myself. This allows me to plug in 2 solar blankets, but not wired in parallel, but wired in series. Now, each individual panel will produce a voltage. When the sun starts shining, the voltage goes up, voltage goes up, voltage goes up, and this thing turns on. It sees that voltage and it turns on and the current starts flowing into your batteries. All right? And as the sun goes down, the voltage starts dropping because the solar panels are getting less and less light on them. And the voltage goes down, and at a certain point, the MPPT controller, in both this and the Redarc, turn off. That period of time between it turning off and turning on in the morning and the evening, it depends on the voltage. If you have 2 panels wired in series, the voltage remains longer. The voltage remains higher for longer, which means it stays turned on for longer. Okay, simple as that. Turns on for longer, so you get more charge during a period of day. Also, the high voltage, you'll get slightly less voltage drop. Not a biggie, but it's a small thing, but it does contribute to the overall efficiency. The Redarc, you can only put, I was going to say low voltage panels. You cannot use high voltage panels, it's probably the best way of putting this, with the Redarc MPPT controller built into this. And you will, if you are going to plug in more than 2 panels, then you would have to put them in parallel and live with the losses. How big are those losses? It's so difficult for me to say if that's So I have to conclude with, if the solar input is critical to your setup, you're probably better off going the Victron and using panels in series to get the voltage up. You will have a more efficient system. If you struggle a bit with the wiring and not sure how to put it together, you get that guy from Redarc, and you use actually with both of them, you use the Egon DC hub. Egon DC hub will simplify your wiring enormously. And briefly, the Egon DC hub is one unit where everything just plugs into it. And when I say everything, I'm talking about every single thing, apart from the load going to your inverter or anything that is using more than 80 amps. But everything else, your compressor, your fridge, your lights, your DC-DC, your solar, everything, built-in bus bar, etc., etc. Everything is built into the Egon DC hub. And if you are a DIY guy and you're doing your own wiring, the DC hub is a no-brainer. in terms of your installation. Honestly, it's a no-brainer, because suddenly all the expertise you might have needed, it's all that's done for you. It's done for you. And the instruction book says plug that in there, and you plug it in. That in there, you plug it in. Really, 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 really simple. That's my advice on these controllers. But as I said, they're both very high quality units. You're not going to be disappointed no matter which way you decide to go.